Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Planet Film Network. I am one of your hosts, Sean Monk.
And I'm your other host, TJ Cornwell, and tonight we will be reviewing John Wick Chapter 4. We'll be talking about
Absolutely.
the unfortunate news and accusation charges brought against Jonathan Majors a few days ago. And then there's just a few other stories I think we're going to touch on as well.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but first, as always, let's start the show with what we've been watching. Uh, Sean, if you'd
Absolutely.
like to go first, I don't have much for this topic, unfortunately. After I gotta start bringing some more heat. I feel like uh,
Mm-hmm.
after a certain number of movies. But would you watch this past week?
Yeah, I feel like you gotta start bringing the heat, if anything, because I'm trying to wean off the heat or take my foot
Okay,
off the gas.
yeah,
Because I said this to some people at work that, like, normally I have, like, at least since I've become an adult, like, I take my content in, like, seasons.
hmm
I don't know why. I just fall into habits. Like, same thing with YouTube. Like, YouTube, I'll always watch throughout the entire year. But, like, specifically on YouTube, I'll have, like, and it's because you get in the mood to watch something, so then the algorithm promotes that thing, and then I'm
right,
like, oh, I haven't watched this channel in a year. Let me spend the next 2 months catching up on their channel. And then I do it again, like, the next year, like, that kind of thing.
yeah.
So there'll be a time where I haven't watched LTT. Like, when you told me that they got
After me
hacked,
this past weekend,
yeah, I was like that when you told me that they got hacked. I didn't know because
yeah,
I was in one of my off seasons. I was like I check in with the WAN show if there's like a big headline or something. But other than
yeah,
that, I've been kind of tuned out of it. But then you told me that I was just like, oh my god. But so I, normally then I'll have like a big period where I'll watch a bunch of movies, then focus more on TV, focus more on documentaries, and then like focus more on video games. Fall kind of got me all screwed up because one of my friends at work got me like on this kick of, I don't know if you remember, I was watching all these like super old movies. Like I was watching like these silent films and German expressionism and stuff. Like I was going down this like deep rabbit hole of like cinema.
hmm
Um, and then that ran right into Oscars catch up and like watching stuff. And now there's just so much new stuff. So I've told myself I have to stop watching like old movies all the time. Like I have to start either watching new movies or like documentaries or something like that to because I've been rewatching like the same things way too much. It
right.
just in my opinion for myself. So that's just like an observation I literally made this week. So um, we talked about robots, right? We talked
hmm
about Shazam, obviously. That's right. Okay, of
Yep.
course. Um, so I will say this off the bat. The movie that we are reviewing tonight, John Wick Chapter 4, I have seen 3 times now. Um, so we'll talk about that later. Then I watched Joker, which you and
hmm
I were just talking a little bit about, and we will be talking a little bit more about in a few minutes here. And then we were just, me and my roommate, we were just scrolling through HBO Max, and we were trying to figure out what we wanted to watch. And she was like, Donnie Darko. I've never seen it. And I was like, oh my
Oh,
God. I was like, Donnie Darko, that's one of my favorite movies of all time. I watched it, and I don't know why. It did not hit for me. I was like, this movie kind of sucks. I don't know why. I was like, I was just seeing it in like this light that I just said. I don't know. I don't know if it's just I haven't watched it in probably 2 or 3 years, maybe. But I was watching it and I was like, yeah, everything that I love about it is there, absolutely. But
yeah.
like, I don't know. It just kind of fell flat for me. And then yesterday, I went a little unhinged and I watched. I had a day off, so I watched John Wick Chapter 2, John Wick Chapter 3, and then last night I went and saw John Wick Chapter 4. So we will save the Wickness for a little bit later on in the show. But other than that, yeah, Joker, we'll also talk about in a second. But other than that, I have been playing a ton of Ratchet and Clank games still, which I think we
Okay. Yep.
started talking about last week. So I started playing Rift Apart again, and then I finished that, which is again just continues to be an amazing game. and it's crazy the load time. Like if Miles Morales is like, this is how beautiful and photorealistic environments and nature and outside and everything like that can look on the PS5. Ratchet and Clank is just like, here is how like decadent it can look. Like it's just like it uses the full color spectrum. You know, it's not photorealistic, it's obviously cartoony, but within that you have these beautiful like sunrises and, you know, stars and zero load times. Like it's like one of those games that it's just, you know, like, you know, it's just one of those games that's, it really fully encompasses everything that the PS5 is capable of. As of 2 years ago at this point, which is crazy. So, you know, I can't imagine what the next one would look like, let alone Spider-Man 2. But I've been really just kind of deep into that, and then finished Rift Apart. So now I went back to finish Going Commando. And I will tell you, man, that final planet on Going Commando, I have been playing for 2 days because it is just that difficult. Like, they just do not make games like that anymore. And I'm like looking up all this stuff, and the only answer is get more bolts and buy better guns. And I'm just like, I don't want to do that. Like, that's gonna take so long. But yeah. So that's been fun. That's pretty much everything that I've been doing. And then I've watched quite a bit of TV. But most of which we're gonna talk about in a little bit. So I'll save that for then, I guess. Or actually, I guess. Well, let's go with what you've been watching, movie-wise or whatever else-wise, and then maybe you could throw to one of our first TV reviews here.
Yeah. So as far as movies go, I've only watched 3 movies. John Wick Chapter 1. Great. You know, good as ever. Teared up, cried. You know what? I'll say it. Full on cried. Okay? The beginning, first 20 minutes, tearjerker. And I told you, we went to go see the 4th one. I said, I don't know if it's because I have a dog now, but that you know, that scene just hit different this time around. So again, great movie. And then I didn't have time for Chapter 2, so I just skipped right to Chapter 3, just so I was at least caught up to date with, you know, what was the most recent thing.
Yeah.
Chapter 3, good as I remember it. I did tell you that the what's the character again? The
Adjudicator. The
Adjudicator did not do it for me this time around. I was not a fan of the character or the actor or whatever the process was there. I was not a fan. And I was going into 4 thinking that she was going to return. She didn't, which I was kind of quite happy about. But and then obviously I watched Chapter 4 on Thursday, which we'll get into later. Watched some TV, My Hero, you know, caught up on that. Caught up with Mandalorian. I took a little time with that. You know, Mandalorian's just not. I don't find it as necessary to watch right away, which is kind of bothering me. Yeah, we could talk about it. But yeah, just to put that out there. I'm not that I'm saying it's bad in any way. It's just I'm not like, oh, I gotta go. You know, I gotta watch that right now. Like, you know, I watched it last night. That was when I watched it. So almost a whole week later. And then honestly, I've been watching a lot of LTT videos. I don't know if it was because they got hacked.
Yeah. You're like,
and I was like, oh yeah, this channel.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which, by the way, I don't know if you saw like what they were basically, it was a live stream of like, it was just like this conference that like Elon Musk was in, and they screen recorded it, and so that it was just a live stream of that, and it was some sort of crypto thing.
Wow.
Which, yeah, I don't know. It was down for a decent amount of time too.
That's crazy.
But watching all those videos made me like I wanna now build my own NAS. I want to upgrade my PC. Fun enough, because I was talking to I was in Discord over the weekend. Me and Brandon were trying the Diablo beta.
Okay.
And I had brought up something about, I think I was talking to Cameron, and we were talking about GPUs, and I think he has a 3060, and I was looking them up. They're like retail price now. They're pretty, yeah, they're not like something absorbent or anything. They're like 400 maybe. Which I was like, oh, interesting. But yeah, I think that's all I've been really watching. Obviously excited for Ted Lasso tonight, and then I'm assuming I'll probably watch Mandalorian as well. But yeah, when do you want to talk Mandalorian? You want to do it right now, or you want to do it in a little bit?
let's get our individual ones out of the way.
Okay.
And then, so do you want to talk about the show that I am not caught up on, which is The Coach with the Most.
Oh
Mr.
yes, of
Mr.
course.
I don't know if you want to make this its own little clipperoonie there.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, yeah.
but yeah, Ted Lasso. I'll give again just while TJ's getting ready my quick thing. I did not see this week's episode. I'm trying to save it to watch with my roommate, but I just been working like literally completely opposite schedule from her. So I think I might just have to watch them and then get her on the rewatch, especially with another one coming out today because it has been a week. But really like the premiere and everything. But how do you feel about season 2? And you can spoil stuff.
Oh
I know
yeah.
I know that it's a big like stuff with Trent and all that stuff. So
Yeah.
how's it
Yeah,
going?
so I'll start the clip now. Okay. And I'm just gonna go right into it. So and I won't take that long. Okay, so Ted Lasso, episode 2 of season 3. Another very solid episode. No complaints. I would no what's his name? I always forget his name.
Oh no,
Nick,
Nate,
Ned.
right?
No Nate.
That's right.
No Nate in this episode.
I was
Which
surprised
was
to hear
not.
that.
It was nice. I didn't really. I want to see more of Nate, obviously, even though I hate his guts. But I do want to see more of him. They introduce a very interesting character named, I forget his name, but he's based off a real player. And it's obvious that he's based off a real
Oh, is
player
this like
because he's
Zara?
Zara,
Or-
yeah, something like that. And he's very self-indulgent, very all about himself, and the
Is
whole
he based
kind of
on Neymar?
no, he's based
Oh.
off Zlatan.
I
And
don't know.
the whole kind of gist of the episode is like he's really good, but he's causes problems everywhere he goes, but he's really good.
Mhm.
So Wrexham is like, oh, we want him even though he causes problems, and just because since they got promoted, they need to contend with all the other big clubs they're already, in the Premier League, and West Ham obviously is also going after him. So
Yeah.
it's about who can get him, and then there's another kind of side story with Trent Krim and Roy Kent and that whole kind of dynamic as well.
Interesting.
Which
Two of
was
my favorite
it was
characters
nice.
of the show.
Yeah, it was really good. I'm glad we're getting more of Trent Krim. I think he's a good character to kind of stir the pot, and then it also brings a little bit more out of Roy. There's also this other side plot with like Keely and her kind of I don't think that was episode 1. Keely and like her like CFO, like the one that like kind of just like came out of nowhere.
Yeah, it started in episode 1. She's like, "Why are you spending on flowers?" Yeah.
Right. Now she's like Keely is like hired her best friend to come in as like in a role of some sort in her company, but she's not qualified whatsoever. So the CFO is like, what's her job? And it's kind of this whole thing. It's a really nice episode. The show just continues to live up to the expectations that I'm assuming everybody has had for it. It's gonna be really sad when it ends. But I'm kind of hoping for maybe a Ted centered episode in the next 1 or 2 episodes.
Yeah,
I feel like especially this past episode, he definitely took a back seat, in my opinion.
Okay, interesting. I feel like just by what you described, I feel like going after a player, I would assume that would be more of a Rupert and Rebecca centric.
Yeah, it's kind
story.
of yeah.
Which I'm totally fine with because, like you said, I mean the bench, sports reference, the bench is so deep of just great characters in that world. It's like you could spend a whole episode with Trent and Roy and have that be an actual good thing. Somebody too, I think I don't know how he is in the second episode, but somebody too with Ted that I hope gets a little brighter spot on him is Jamie. I feel like he didn't have much to do in the premiere. He did have a good 2 good moments of a little one-liner and stuff, but I just really hope that, like you said, before this show goes out, I just hope that we get kind of some nice meaty time to spend with all of these characters. Because I feel like too, somebody like Ted probably haven't gotten a lot with him in the first, well, maybe not in the first episode, but like you said, something that is just completely Ted Lasso focused, because that's really what the show is great at. But yeah, anything else on the Lasso talk?
No, I'm just waiting for when they finally face West Ham.
Yeah.
When that comes and what goes on.
Now you know more about like the structure of like that type of season and stuff, but like is there enough games that like would they play them like more than once or just once?
Yeah.
Okay.
No, they play them more than once.
Okay. Yeah, then in that case, because I was going to say maybe they're saving it for the finale, but then I thought to myself, I was like, that feels way too far away to save from actually playing them.
I mean, I'm assuming this is like the first. I believe this was probably the first game of the season, so I don't know. They're definitely, because I think the regular seasons are like, they gotta be like 40 games somewhere in there. I don't know off the top of my head. So they're obviously gonna skip to whenever and just skip around. But I'll be interested to see if they do any. I don't know if they did it in previous seasons. If they do any kind of like tournaments or anything, because that's like a big part of There's usually like there's a I can't even think of the word now. There's like in the Premier League, there's like the FA Cup, there's the Carabao Cup, and then you obviously want to qualify for the Champions League, which is like a European tournament, which is all European teams. Yeah. But I doubt we'll get that far into it.
Could we see Coach Lasso take home the World Cup this season?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I don't think so.
Well, stay tuned for that, and stay tuned for more Ted Lasso reviews. But yeah, let us know, what are you guys thinking of Ted Lasso season 3 so far? Lots to do. I promise we will both be caught up for next week. But yeah, so let us know what you thought of Ted Lasso in the comments down below. All right, so switching gears here over from Apple to HBO. The void in our hearts that has honestly been pretty full for like the past 6 months, whether it be House of the Dragon, then Last of Us, of Sunday nights on HBO. What are you going to do? What are you going to watch? Well, the 1 week off, my heart is healed. I have the Roys back in my life. And I am going to talk a little bit about Succession Season 4, Episode 1, titled The Munsters, which is a very fitting name for many reasons. I was thinking about doing... So, first and foremost, for this video, let me know in the comments down below. Do you want to see more Succession content? I mean, I'll still talk about it on Tuesdays.
I haven't even started recording yet.
You got it. I'm just like completely going. Whenever you're ready.
All right, you're good.
All right. So I'm going to talk Succession Season 4, Episode 1, titled The Munsters. And before I get into my thoughts on the episode and everything, I want you guys to let me know, do you want me to do my little, immediate reaction videos for Succession? I've been doing them on and off for The Bad Batch, but I do them every week for The Mandalorian, just like I did every week for Last of Us. And I will do them for Succession, but let me know. I might give it a shot this upcoming Sunday, either way. But man, I had so much going through my head after this episode. Again, like I said, titled The Munsters. I think the show, which for context, I know TJ is he's only made it partway to into season 1.
2 episodes.
Yeah. So, but it is definitely worth it. And anything I spoil here, you'll forget about by the time you get there. So, but I'll keep it spoilers light just in case people watching haven't seen it. But that being said, I do want to talk about it because it is just so good. I mean, this show is back with a vengeance. Obviously, this episode is written again by Jesse Armstrong, who is the creator and the primary creative behind the show and everything. But again, for I believe his 14th episode behind the camera is Mark McCloud, who is famously a big Succession director, but he also is a big Adam McKay guy, and he also just directed one of my favorite movies of the past few years, which is The Menu. So he is came right off of Succession season 3, shot The Menu, and then went right back into work on season 4. He is I don't know, somewhere between a Vince Gilligan and a Ryan Johnson in terms of, directing episodes, like to correlate it to Breaking Bad. Like he's probably like the second or third most director of the show. So it's always, you always know it's going to be extra special when it's one of his episodes, especially now coming off the back of the Menu and seeing how great he was directing that. And you really feel that because episode is just, his show, it just mixes beautiful writing, great writing, one-liners, intricate financial stuff, which if you watch this channel long enough, I'm a complete sucker for that stuff. It's just so good. And then the main thing above everything else is the character work, whether it's Logan, coming off of last season. It's to the point where, he's pitted his kids against themselves to compete for his glory for so long. At the end of last season, they finally broke away from that and they united and said, we're not going to play your games anymore, everything like that. So, we meet Logan. He's kind of the lonely man on the mountaintop at the start of this season. And, you get that from a performer like Brian Cox. I mean, he's in his 80s. I think he just turned 80. And he is just as good as he was as William Stryker. He's just yelling at these people, but then the way he sits down on the sofa and sighs, you're like, you feel the performance of, he's yelling at that intern, but he wishes it was his son. And you feel all of that through the dialogue and whether it isn't dialogue. The scenes with him and Tom, Matthew McFadden, again, being incredible this season. Nicholas Braun, again, as Greg, all of that aspect, everything that's going on at Waystar Royco, and the whole ATN deal that's going down is fantastic. But then, jumping over to the kids, you get Roman, Shiv, and Kendall really finally working together, trying to create this thing, and then, plot twist for the episode, not really, but it's like 5 minutes in, as soon as they see the opportunity to screw their father over, even though their entire thing is, we're forging our own path, as soon as that opportunity comes up, they jump on it. And so this episode is all about them. Logan is trying to acquire this, think basically kind of CNN, the Pierce family. And then when the kids find out that the Pierce family are up to sell their news network, they jump in on it too. And so basically this whole episode is this bidding war between father and children, and basically just getting the two sides of that, and it's epic and emotional and everything like that, but then also there's so many intricacies within that, because two of the kids are, let's screw dad. One of them is, I was kind of happy with us actually making our own thing. And that's the character that you would have never expected that 2 seasons ago. It's all these great flips and turns that these performers living in these characters for the past 5 years are just absolutely amazing at pulling off. But just amazing. I'm not going to go into the breaking down the entire episode and everything like that, but that's basically the general thing. There's also a lot of emotional stuff in there as well, with everything that Shiv and Tom are going through. Really, really great stuff. Not a bad performance in the entire bunch. And I'm excited to see where this is going, but we're losing so many of these great shows. And then, right as Succession's going to be going out, the final season of Barry is starting. So it's like we're losing so many of these great shows, just like one right after another, it feels like. And also, like you said, Ted Lasso. But Succession, just as strong as ever. And then actually one of our stories that I'll just throw in here, the viewership is higher than ever. So this was actually the highest viewed episode of the entire show, not even just for a premiere. Which is fantastic. So I'm glad that more people are watching it and everything like that. But that's my thoughts on Succession season 4 so far. Just one episode. It was kind of a supersized episode. I think it was about an hour and 15 minutes, which felt really good coming off the the off season basically. But so let us know, what do you guys think of Succession season 4 so far? Are you excited for next week's episode? Do you want me to cover these in their own kind of separate video, just to give you guys my quick 2-minute immediate thoughts when I watch the episode on Sunday? Let me know all that and more down below. But yeah, that'll do it for some Succession talk. All right, so Let's shift gears here. Oh, actually, let me get caught up on chat here. So we got Molly Manifest says hello, or says hi. First comment, woo, hearts, and then how are you guys doing tonight? I think we're doing well.
Right.
TJ, doing good? There you
I'm doing good.
go.
Yep.
Michelle says, I'm loving season, I think you've been season 3 of Lasso, but it's really, if it's really the last season, it makes me sad. Absolutely. Zava is like Jamie used to be, but worse. I feel like Zava is going to get Jamie going again and being so competitive. Yeah, we've seen that before, that if Jamie gets
Same
stagnant.
position.
Yep. Oh, same position. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, there we go. So definitely built-in conflict for Jamie. And that's good. Because, we've seen before when Jamie gets stagnant, he can kind of implode on himself. So hopefully, him and Roy can continue their nice little bromance, and he can keep his head straight. But I guess we'll see. All right, let's jump over actually to some of this news, just get this stuff out of the way. So we're not going to talk about all this. I got a bunch of stuff wrapped up together. I feel like the first thing I want to talk about, just to get it out of the way, is this week, just a few days ago here, we had some pretty, I would say, devastating news out of the blue. It's not the kind of news that you want to talk about, and not the kind of news that you want to expect or anything like that. But on March 25th, a report came out from TMZ and then was later confirmed by everybody, basically, and then also confirmed by NYPD, that Jonathan Majors, who, of course, Kang in the MCU, Creed 3, tons of stuff coming out, and then still to come out, Magazine Dreams, which seemed to be angled for a big best actor run for Jonathan Majors. He was arrested this week on charges of strangulation, assault, and harassment. The charges have later then were, according to his people, dropped, but then he was fully charged and brought back into custody on several counts of the same sort. But his representatives have claimed over the past few days that he's done nothing wrong, and that they were looking forward to clearing his name, and that they have evidence and all this stuff. But then after that, and after he had been released from custody, he was then brought back into custody, and like I said, fully charged with quite a few things. That you can find the complete details of it online and everything like that, but mainly just really awful stuff. Just, and then there was even more reports of people that have known him for years.
A lot of tweets.
Yeah, just stating that. And you know what was really bad for me is when I saw the tweets that said, if anyone went to Yale, because that was just a little thing that, like watching a Wired autocomplete interview, I found out I knew he went to Yale. So when I saw all these tweets that were like, yeah, I knew him at Yale, like nobody starts a tweet like that if it's not true. Like when it was like, yeah, back at Yale, this guy was like a real prick and kind of a monster, I was like, oof. Like that, yeah. It felt, really real. Like if somebody was like, yeah, he used to come into my pizza shop and, he wouldn't tip, I'd be like, okay, sure thing. But like these people sound like they really knew him. But kind of, talk about throwing it all away. I mean, what are your kind of thoughts on this? And then I'll just get your thoughts on this part real quick, and then we'll kind of talk about what this might mean for a lot of stuff we've been looking forward to.
Yeah, I was pretty shocked, honestly. And then again, to see like those follow-up tweets from all those people.
Yeah.
Obviously, of course, innocent until proven guilty. But nevertheless, like this kind of story comes out. It's never.
And we hope that the woman is
yeah,
okay.
Of course.
I know that she was, I believe, released from the hospital.
Right.
But she was in the hospital for quite a bit of time.
Right. But even like with those tweets too, like it kind of just makes me think, like, how does that stuff not come out before? You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like, you'd assume, just thinking of, just because Marvel, such a big studio, Disney in general, is, very family friendly, all that stuff. And you have to imagine, obviously, they're doing, they know everything about you as a person.
Yeah.
So it kind of surprised me that, maybe they did know, they just kind of swept it under the rug. I think of it very much as like if you're getting drafted in the NFL. The NFL teams, they know everything about you. They know, where you go to lunch, how you are to your friends, how you are to your family, everything. So I'm interested, I'd be interested to know if they like knew any of that kind of stuff
Mm-hmm.
that he's, people have said about him or anything like that, and if they just kind of, swept it under and were like, nope, we're good here. But yeah, really, really sad to see, and obviously we hope he's proven innocent.
Yeah. Well, I would say, I guess not hope, but
Yeah,
if he is, I just hope that
I hope
that
if
the
that he's
truth.
innocent, this doesn't
Yeah.
like kind of
Yeah.
cast this
What does
really
Arthur
dark
Weasley
shadow
say?
over him.
Truth will out.
Yeah.
There you go. But yeah, shifting gears on this a little bit too, like you said, with Marvel and everything like that. Kind of where do we go from here? And in a way, I'm glad that it's been a couple of days, so we're kind of removed from it. So, I feel like it's kind of okay time to kind of talk about these things and where we go from here. I know a lot of people were very upset with all the people talking about the MCU the night that this news broke. And I'm of two minds on that. I get it. You have to think about the real people that are involved with that and everything like that. But also to be like, you shouldn't be thinking about the MCU at a time like this. It's like, well, yeah, but I mean, they banked the next 5 6 years on this guy's face. It's not like he's Ultron, where he's the voice of something, or even Thanos, where it's a CG character. This is the guy. He's the guy on the posters. He's the name of the movies. He's he's gonna be in the shows. He's all this stuff. So, I guess starting off right now, assuming that this is a situation pointed south, what is gonna happen with things like Loki, which he's supposed to be in multiple episodes of season 2, Kang Dynasty. I mean, what do you think personally? They should be doing here. Recast, pivot. You change it from the Kang Dynasty and the multiverse saga to the Fisk Dynasty and I don't know, the New York saga. Like what do you do? How do you kind of pivot here?
I'm not exactly sure, just because those things are I wouldn't say they're imminent. Do we know when Loki's coming out exactly? Are we sure about that?
Yeah, so Loki is, well, all right, just I'll throw in this quick tidbit here. Oh god, what is it called? Secret Invasion, is
Yeah, right.
they basically posted on Disney Plus with no fanfare. It is releasing June 21st. You figure that's going to be, I believe, 10 episodes. So people are saying Loki probably September, maybe August at the earliest, but probably like September. So you have a good maybe 6 months.
Right. You definitely have time. But I'm also interested to see how this is handled differently. As to, I think you have to bring up the Ezra Miller situation. Does Disney just not say anything? I guess. Because obviously we know Warner Brothers really didn't. Nothing has really happened with that.
Yeah.
So do you just not say anything and you just kind of carry on business as usual, or do you recast? I think obviously if he's found guilty, you have to recast him. Obviously.
Yeah.
And if he's found not guilty, then I think I would imagine it goes on. But until then, I really don't know what you do. Maybe you're just kind of in this holding pattern, I guess.
Yeah, because then it's also the issue of, I'm trying not to, not edge into, the CC term, but, it's the court of public opinion as well. You how is a movie going to do, unfortunately, no matter what the verdict is, how is the movie going to do with, this guy's name in the title, probably high build, and he's going to be the face of it. You know what I mean? Like, that's so hard, and that's also...
Again, you'll get a good test case of that in a few months.
Exactly, 100%. So... It's like, what do you really do? Is the kind of stuff around... Let's just say The Flash, that's what we're talking about. Like, is the stuff around Barry in that movie going to be enough to get people in there? Certainly, I would say the marketing is doing an interesting thing, which is, I would say, they're not, like some people expected, they're not making it, a Batman movie. They're not calling it Batman Flashpoint.
Right.
It's very much, the trailers are still saying, hey, this is Barry's story. There's no changing that. But also doing its great job to say, hey, Ben Affleck's Batman is in this. Michael Keaton's Batman is in this.
Yep.
Supergirl's in this. Zod's in this. We got a lot of stuff going on. That you could also come and see. So it'll be interesting to see kind of where it goes with this. But we just wanted to touch on it just because obviously it was a huge, monumental story that came out this week. Very unfortunate story, but we'll keep you informed if things keep going on here. But yeah, very, very unfortunate stuff. But yeah. So moving on, if I can pivot into some Deadpool 3 news. We've been talking about on this show for a while, I feel, about the reports that the TVA will be heavily involved with oh, there you go. I didn't even think about that pivot from Kang to the TVA. That the TVA will be heavily involved in Deadpool 3 in its story. And that most likely Owen Wilson would be in it. Well, now officially Jeff Snyder of the Hot Mic podcast has reported that Owen Wilson is in fact going to be not only in Deadpool 3, but play a major role in Deadpool 3, which is fantastic. And then also just a few hours ago, we got confirmed that Tom himself from Succession, Matthew McFadden, will also be joining the cast of Deadpool 3. And Sean Levy then confirmed that, saying how awesome is it that, you not only get to have a great actor audition for you, but you also get to cast them. So that clearly is absolutely moving forward. So what are your thoughts on this kind of Deadpool 3 ramping up production? It's going to start in just a couple of weeks here. And it's seemingly having a heavy focus on the probably the repercussions of all the time travel in Deadpool 2, but through the eyes of the TVA and everything. So it sounds pretty interesting.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it would be obviously great to have Owen Wilson back. Obviously he'll be in Loki season 2. But you really do, you wonder how this kind of all fits together. I'm assuming the way, TVA is involved, we're starting to maybe think that Deadpool kind of jumps into some timeline where Hugh Jackman's Wolverine is, and then maybe Morbius is chasing him, or Morpheus. Mobius.
Mobius.
I was like, I think both those are wrong.
Morpheus. And then Orpheus is a character on NBC's Days of Our Lives. So there you go.
But no, it's exciting to see, and yeah, can't wait for the movie. Hopefully, in more news soon.
Yeah,
seems like we're getting a lot of casting around that lately.
Yeah, that's what I mean. So. I think it's really getting there of ramping up. Because Hugh Jackman said in the fall. Yeah, he said in the fall that 6 months from now we're gonna be filming, and as you said, he's been posting crazy videos. That guy is what, 54, 53, and he is
Hugh Jackman.
Shredded.
If they do another John Wick happens, get Hugh Jackman in there. Hugh Jackman versus Keanu Reeves. That'd be dope.
That's like somebody.
I don't know if Hugh Jackman's a big martial arts guy, but
I think he would. I feel like he would be. Yeah. I mean, if not, though, also he could just be a brute. You know what I mean? Or he also, happens to be an incredibly accomplished Oscar-nominated actor. But he could also just be. How crazy would that be? The actual head of the table we finally meet, and it's Wolverine.
Oh yeah.
And John Wick goes, "You're taller than I thought you'd be." No, Deadpool 3, very excited for that. Sounds like I think it's gonna start filming in April, maybe May. So sounds like this movie is going to be happening, and then what is it? September 2024. So wow, yeah. So it's coming out in really just over a year, like about less than 18 months. So very excited for that. Very excited again that Sean Levy's one of those guys that will confirm things and update things on the project as we kind of go here. Let's talk while we're on the topic of the MCU. We got official confirmation that Liv Tyler is officially returning as Betty Ross for Captain America: New World Order. So again, I just got to get on my soapbox here for a second. I seen so many people on Twitter, and I'm officially just team Twitter is just a dumpster fire of the internet. It's the Sakar of the internet, um, and so many people just being like roll eye emoji. So I guess Sam's not actually getting his own movie, you know. Shrug emoji. I guess this is a Hulk movie, not a Captain America movie. We have no idea what this movie's gonna be. We have no idea. You know what else? Wasn't a Hulk movie? Iron Man 3. But the Hulk's in it. You know what wasn't a Black Widow movie? Iron Man 2. Like, you know what was a Captain America movie? Avengers 2.5. It was called Civil War. And last time I checked, there was 5 million characters in it, but Steve Rogers was at the center of everything. So sorry, I had to get on my soapbox there because I just saw that so much when this news came out. And it's like, okay, you have an opportunity here to revisit a lot of these political threads that were set up all the way back in The Incredible Hulk. And this is a good opportunity to pay them off. So, I have no problem with that whatsoever. But,
finally,
so
we get Tim Blake Nelson back.
The leader. My head is growing. Oh, think about that, though. Isn't that crazy? Last time we saw Tim Blake Nelson, his head started to grow. And if that had lingered even more, he would have looked like that. He would have looked worse than the villain in Green Lantern. Because that movie came out 3 years before the Green Lantern movie, which came out 12 years ago. That's how long ago The Incredible Hulk was. And I saw somebody else because also on top of this, there's already set pictures. She literally landed in Atlanta and started filming this morning.
Okay.
But somebody was like, why does she look so different? It's been 19 years in universe and 15 in the real world. What? What do you mean? Like, I just didn't understand that at all. But what are your thoughts on this kind of?
Why does Thunderbolt Ross look so different? Well, it's a different actor.
The last one is no longer with us. So
this is exciting news. I don't know why I thought. I think I always have this issue where I thought that it was Jennifer Gardner in that movie. I don't know why I think that. They don't look alike, so I don't know what it is. But
my roommate said that. Brianna said that yesterday. I was like, somebody else said that. I showed them the picture and was like, is that Jennifer Gardner?
Yeah. But no, it's exciting. I'm gonna have to, maybe I'll have to brush up on my Incredible Hulk again. Even though I remember we reviewed it, one of the first episodes of this show.
That's right.
I'm not a big fan of it. I forgot what your opinions were. But I highly doubt this will not be a Sam Wilson movie.
Yes.
We're bringing back
Isaiah Bradley.
Carl Lumley.
Yeah,
Isaiah
Carl
Bradley.
Lumley. Yeah.
So there's gonna be that kind of connectiveness with the older Captain America and the new one and how that all fits. And I'm assuming we're gonna pick up those threads from Falcon and Winter Soldier.
Oh, speaking of picking up threads from Falcon and Winter Soldier, I guess literally and figuratively, how great would it be to go back to Madripoor on the big screen like that? Yeah. I was just thinking about Madripoor the other day. Oh, because of John Wick. Somebody was like, the MCU never looks like something like that. It's always a gray warehouse in Atlanta, and I'm like, I wanted to retweet that. Sometimes I feel like I should be more like more Roca-y on Twitter and just be just tweet back at some of these people.
Yeah.
But I'm like, did you not watch Falcon and Winter Soldier, the Madripoor episode? That was like Blade Runner in the MCU on TV, and it looked incredible. All that Madripoor stuff looked so good in that show. So yeah, I hope give me what's going on with the power broker. Was she on the phone with let's revisit that question from 2.5 years ago, by the way.
Power broker.
I'm wondering if maybe she was on the phone with Thunderbolt Ross at this point.
Yeah. I think either that or I suspect maybe she could show up in Daredevil. Is that a possibility?
I think Daredevil, that's very possible.
Power Broker, Wilson Fisk, I don't know.
Maybe even Secret Invasion.
Secret Invasion, yeah.
Oh yeah, because there was that theory after Hawkeye um, because Kingpin had that like super punch, that they were like maybe he's been juicing
Oh,
with the power broker.
with the bot, yeah.
Yeah, but very interesting stuff. But switching over to some more Marvel news, the last bit of Marvel news here. Speaking of the big man himself, looks like I don't have it saved here. But anyways, we got some set pictures, a lot of set pictures this week with Daredevil himself, Charlie Cox, but now also Kingpin on set. And I know I talked to you about it a little bit, but just all this outdoor filming for this and the Penguin and everything, it just gives me positive vibes, man. Like it just gives me hope that, you know, these shows that are going to be so long are going to have a consistent kind of visual thing that you're not switching between location and then green screen and then volume and then, you know, these, you know, 5x5 sets with a wall that looks like you're in the middle of nowhere. Like it was just refreshing. But we got a lot of Daredevil news here that because GalaxyCon was this weekend, so Charlie Cox and Vincent D'Onofrio literally went right from filming to GalaxyCon, and they did this panel where they talked a lot about the upcoming series, and he said, you know, don't worry, it's going to be, you know, very brutal, physically violent, all that stuff. So, but still no Karen or Foggy, so I don't know how that's going to play. But, yeah, interesting stuff. So Daredevil chugging along. Pretty cool there. I think that will do it for Marvel? Question mark? Yeah, I think so. Oh yeah. Sad news. Curb Your Enthusiasm reportedly ending with this next up and coming 12th season. We already talked about that news. Ari Aster, Beau is Afraid comes out in about 2 weeks here, starring Joaquin Phoenix.
Okay, didn't know it was 2 weeks.
And yeah, it's the 3 weeks. I think it's the 21st of April. So less than a month. But we already know what his next film is going to be, which is awesome because it's been 4 years since his last movie with Midsommar. Which his next film, Ari Aster's next film, is more than likely going to be a Western, and it is more than likely going to see him re-team with Joaquin Phoenix, who obviously starred in Beau is Afraid, and also has starred in his fair share of some pretty R-rated Westerns as well. What are your thoughts on this? I know we haven't obviously seen Beau is Afraid yet, but, you know, Ari Aster, we're very familiar with his stuff. Joaquin Phoenix seems like a match made in heaven. I'm happy that they're going to be collaborating again, but what are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, it's exciting to see. Is it possible Ari Aster, Joaquin Phoenix is the new Safdie brothers, Adam Sandler kind of relationship? I don't know. I'm just thinking because they have another movie coming out. I think is around I think we talked about it last week, is around baseball cards or something.
Yes,
and
absolutely,
yeah. But no, that's cool. I'm excited. I haven't even watched the trailer for Beau is Afraid yet.
I'd say at this point you can stay away from it.
Yeah. I'm not going to consider myself a Western guy. I'm very not up to date on any of them. But I'll be interested to see how that does, because I feel like they're just not a big pull anymore.
Yeah.
But, you know, Ari Aster, pretty good track record. I feel like most people, when you say, like, you know, Ari Aster, oh, blah, blah, and they'll be like, oh, yeah, Hereditary, the guy that did Hereditary, or Midsommar. So we'll see how it does when it eventually gets made.
Yeah, I agree. And then the last bit of news here before we get to some Mando talk and then some John Wick talk is some John Wick talk. Because there is a lot of also this is your weekly reminder. This week's Hot Ones guest on March 30th is going to be Florence Pugh.
Did you watch Bob Odenkirk?
I did. Did you?
I did. Yeah.
That was fantastic.
Dude says I'm not really a spicy guy. Just like
crushed it.
Doesn't even like nothing through those
Incredible.
wings.
Have you ever seen DJ Khaled's episode?
I've seen the clip where he
taps out after dying. The third wing.
Yeah.
Insane. Absolutely insane. I felt so bad for Sean Evans in that. But let's talk. We're going to call this the Wick Roundup here real quick because there is a lot of John Wick news this week. Of course there is, because obviously John Wick 4 triumphantly came out in theaters. So what we now know, and this is not any spoilers for anything, but what was being considered the final film in the installment in John Wick Chapter 4. John Wick producer says that a new film in the franchise will be announced in the next, say, month or two. But then also, I'm hopeful that there's a Ballerina 2 and a John Wick 5 and lots of other things. And obviously he said that because Ballerina 2, you might say, well, where's Ballerina 1? Well, Ballerina 1 has already been shot, so it will be the final performance of Lance Reddick as Sharon, and Ian McShane, Keanu Reeves, a bunch of people, Angelica Houston, a bunch of people we've already met are going to be starring in that movie, but that movie will actually be starring the ballerina herself, Ana de Armas, who obviously has been in a ton of stuff that we both love and, everybody loves. And that movie is already shot and finished and everything and will come out either spring or summer 2024. So, just about a year away from that film. Then also, I don't know about if you've seen this news or what, but this was amazing news to me. We found out about a year ago, I would say, that there was plans for a Continental show. I think it was going to go to Stars originally. And I know we talked about it back then, and I said, that's a great idea for a show. You'd have Winston, Ian McShane in there. Every week you get a new person in there. That is not the route that they're going creatively, which creatively it is actually, we found out, this was a few months ago, that it's actually going to be a prequel about young Winston in the 1970s. But now I think we get the best news of all, which is that it's not technically a show, but it's actually going to be a 3-night event on Peacock. So rather than being this long show that will air for weeks at a time, it's going to be a much more condensed, much more concise 3-night event with 3 specials airing, back to back to back, one every day, about young Winston. Absolutely. I think that it gives me a better sense that the quality will be high. I think it can keep the mystique of this universe a little bit more because you're going to be introduced to this new era of this universe in this world and everything like that. What is the high table like in in the 70s? What is the Continental like? What is the state of New York? All that stuff. But also mainly it just keeps the prestige smell on the John Wick franchise, rather than be like, oh, it's 4 great movies and then that 18 episode TV show. It's like, oh, it's 4 great movies, and then, oh, you gotta see the TV specials. It makes me feel so good about it. But
did you know? I had no idea. I just looked this up on IMDb. Yeah. Did you know that Mel Gibson is in this show?
Really? What is he like?
He's listed on IMDb.
Is he Winston's Winston?
He's listed as Cormac.
Oh, I wonder if he's like Winston's Winston.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
I didn't even think about.
There is an adjudicator.
Oh,
in this.
Look out! TJ's not gonna be happy.
No,
yeah, look at that.
Colin
Waddell and everything.
Is playing a young Winston.
You see that right there?
Yeah, see?
He's John Wicked up. Well, that is certainly an interesting choice.
I don't remember that ever being like announced? Or a story.
Oh my God, is this him? That is perfect casting. That is perfect casting for a young Ian McShane. Do we get Ian McShane in here as a voiceover or anything? Got anything like that? Peter Green? Man, I guess this is a good cast. Oh, she was from Supergirl. She was the adjudicator. She was in Supergirl. She played Lena Luthor in Supergirl.
Oh, okay.
And she was the assistant in Jurassic World. And then just a bunch of other just great character actors. Sign me up for this, man. This is fantastic. Who's young Uncle Charlie?
I don't know.
Where's old Uncle Charlie?
Maybe it's Winston's brother.
Is this the first time that we've heard his last name?
I'm not sure.
Winston Scott. Very interesting. I'm excited to find out more about this, find out release date, some of that information and everything. But obviously, I think it's a great move moving it from Stars. It was either Stars or Showtime to Peacock, because obviously you're gonna get so many more eyes on it on Peacock rather than one of the pay channels that I don't even know if
Yeah,
it
Stars would have been a
anymore.
bad move.
Yeah, I mean, it's like oh, Billions has its ninth season.
Mhm.
Oh, all right, I believe you. Like you know what I mean? Like I don't know. I just don't. Ray Donovan has 6 seasons in a movie or something.
Yeah.
Great. That's great. Like it just I feel like that's just nowadays where things go to not to die, but just to not be watched. It's just one rung below Prime Video. But Peacock I think is a great home for it. But really fantastic. So a lot of John Wick news there. And then, of course, news, like we said, that they are looking to now do a John Wick 5. Question, do you want to just get into John Wick right now? And then just save Mando
so.
for the end?
Yeah, I think so.
All right. Well, let's get into this here.
All right, let me start recording. Hold on. Not ready yet. All right, I'm recording.
All right. So, let's get right into this. Oh, wait a minute. Interesting. Okay, sorry. We just got some House of the Dragon news. I'm just reading it right now. Okay, looks like those 3. So, real quick before we jump into John Wick, these literally just came out about 20 minutes ago from Deadline. Season 3 of the House of the Dragon has reportedly been mapped out, and a green light is reportedly near. The series creative team is wavering between ending the show in a third or a 4th season. So that's very cool. Another thing, House of the Dragon season 2 will likely premiere in the summer of 2024. We probably figured that, about 2 years between seasons. We know season 2 has already been filming for quite a little bit here.
Mm-hmm.
And then it looks like the last bit of news here about it is House of the Dragon season 2 will be 8 episodes long, 2 episodes fewer than season 1. It is reportedly a story-driven decision rather than a cost-cutting one. That is very interesting to me, but I will formulate a thought. What do you think about all this?
Yeah, obviously excited for the show. Great show. Also, I don't know if you saw, but I think there was also part of that report that they're thinking either season 3 or season 4 is the ending.
Yeah.
Ending season. So, that's. I'm interested to see that. Maybe that means a little bit more skipping around. I mean, they skipped a lot in season 1, but if you're thinking, we're cutting down to 8 episodes season 2, maybe we end up with season 3. How much time are we skipping? I'd have to imagine this doesn't all take place in a matter of, a few months or a few weeks, right?
Yeah. Yeah, and I know a lot of people with season 1 said that really once I was about to just come right out and say it, but I'll just when what happens with Luke is kind of when it all really kicks off. So I wouldn't be surprised if maybe it does slow down, but my initial thought when I see that, when it says that it'll be 8 episodes instead of 10, and it is reportedly a story-driven decision rather than a cost-cutting one, and then I pair that with Emma Carey and Millie Alcock coming out and saying, no, unfortunately, our time has ended with that universe. We were thankful for it, but we are not going to be in it. I feel like that's such a missed opportunity to cut the show down by 2 episodes when you could just keep it the same length and just have it like 2 incredible flashback episodes. I don't understand why you wouldn't use that incredible cast that understandably is no longer with the show after everything that went down in season 1. That's a lot of different reasons that a lot of that cast is no longer on there. But hey, I don't know. I don't know about you. It just feels like money left on the table with not doing that. I mean, shortening it because you say you don't have enough story to fill out 10 episodes, but then, you really can go back in and fill in a lot of stuff. I don't know, but let's see. Michelle said, just because House of the Dragon is only 8 episodes doesn't mean that 1 or 2 of them may have longer run times. That is also true.
Yeah.
That is also very true. You could very easily say, "Hey, we're going to do 8 episodes, but the finale and the premiere are going to be an hour and 20 minutes." Perfectly fine with me. I'm just saying it just feels like a weird move that I think you could easily fix by just giving more people some cool flashback stuff with some of those characters. But I digress. It was really cool getting that news right there. But let's move on again to John Wick Chapter 4. Are you all set?
Yeah. Sorry. Good now.
All right. So let's talk some John Wick Chapter 4. TJ, what's going on in this movie? How do we feel? And we're gonna start off a little spoiler free, but it's not gonna be much. You know what? Honestly, actually, I was just gonna say there's not gonna be much spoiler free talk. I actually think you could talk about almost the entire movie. And
I'd
keep
agree.
it pretty spoiler free, except for let's probably avoid deaths. But I feel like we could talk about a lot of this stuff. So what's going on? What do you think?
What a film. What a movie. This movie is just, I don't know how they do it. Every John Wick movie, they just get a little bit better and a little bit better and a little bit better, and no signs of slowing down. Obviously, we've got the Continental coming, the series, we've got Ballerina, the movie, we got a bunch of other things in the works. This was just, I was blown away. You see the 2-hour 45-minute runtime, you think that's a tad daunting. Chad Stahelski's gotcha. He makes it feel like 2 hours max, maybe less than that. Flies by. The action, can't say enough. The choreography, the cinematography. Oh my god! Like the shot of when they go overhead, and Keanu Reeves is running around with the shotgun with the fire bullets, like just fantastic to look at. The backdrops, when we're in the Japan Continental, and I think one of my favorite shots, one I think back to, is when John Wick's standing there underneath the tree, I think, and we have this building kind of, and it's got like the pink kind of beams around it. You know exactly what I mean. That was, what a shot that was.
That's that classic trailer shot.
Yeah, some great characters introduced. We got Mr. Nobody. I really liked him. Liked what he brought to the table. Donnie Yen, he just he might have stole the movie. He's fantastic as Kane. I can't say enough about this movie. Definitely, probably my favorite movie of the year so far, I'd have to say. I need to see it again very badly.
Not Cocaine Bear?
Not Cocaine Bear. I haven't seen that.
Interesting.
And I'll just say right now, my favorite fight is hands down the nightclub fight.
In Germany?
There's a lot of good. Yeah. Is it Yeah, Germany. Yep.
Yeah.
With the big guy.
Yeah. Scott Adkins.
Yeah, just absolutely fantastic. Bill Skarsgård. My only gripe, maybe, is Bill Skarsgård's accent. It threw me off a little bit.
It definitely threw me off, but I thought it was perfect for this world.
But the ending, great. I'm speechless.
And the big man
this
himself,
movie is just so good.
I mean, we talked about Winston, absolutely bringing it down with this movie, and the Bowery King, Lawrence Fishburne,
and
fantastic.
Chad Stahelski. I don't know what he's gonna do.
The true MVP of this movie.
Well, I don't know what he's gonna do with Ghost of Tsushima, but he's proven that he's got it. I would be shocked if it is not a fantastic movie. Yeah. It's just, this movie's amazing. That's all I can say.
Do we know, like, just to go off what you just said about Ghost of Tsushima for a second, do we know if a studio has the rights to that?
I have no idea.
Because I just worry, like, if it's not, the only thing that could mess it up is, like, if it's not Lionsgate. Like, if it's a studio that maybe doesn't trust him completely the way Lionsgate does, that's the only worry that I have.
I'll look it up to see.
How do you... All right, I'll take over here, because how you look at this movie, and shout out to... This was like 3 weeks ago after a press screening that she described it like this, but shout out to Roxy Stryer on the Big Thing podcast, but also she has her own channel. She said every shot in this movie looks like a $5 billion movie. And that is what it looks like. Like, it looks And then I saw somebody else described it as this movie is sumptuous. Every shot looks like an oil painting. It's the colors and even stuff down to the smallest scenes. Like there's just one scene after an action sequence that Donnie Yen is just chilling on some steps in Osaka, Japan, and he's just chilling back on the steps, and it's this big wide shot, and the plants around him are this lush, like deep green, and then there's these red lanterns, and then he's in this black suit in the foreground, and it just, everything about the movie, like every shot could be its own, painting. Like it just is one of those movies that really just looks that way, that there's not a color on the entire color spectrum that's not utilized to its fullest in this movie.
Yeah. If I could just jump in real quick with Ghost of Tsushima, I'm gonna guess it's just gonna be Sony, because obviously I'm assuming Last of Us they didn't do, because they don't really have that sort of, they don't have a streaming service, you know what I mean? They don't have a division to put it on. They don't have a service to put it on. I'm assuming they're gonna do this, like I believe they did Uncharted as well. Just put that out there.
So is Naughty Dog like owned by Sony, or just exclusive?
They are. I believe they are a first-party studio of Sony.
Okay.
I could be wrong.
So then, yeah, probably Sony. But yeah, like you said, so that would be Sony making it, but then, I don't know, maybe Lionsgate could distribute it.
But Naughty Dog didn't do Ghost of Tsushima.
No, yeah. So Ghost of Tsushima, that's just a straight-up Sony exclusive?
Yes, that is from Sucker Punch that did that.
Okay. Oh, the great Zack Snyder film. Very interesting. I didn't know that movies could make games, but that's very good.
Back to your thoughts. What'd you think?
Back to my thoughts, man. Like I said, I'm like a minute in. I'm just talking about the visuals still. Let's talk about him. Keanu Reeves is a fucking animal in this movie that is just like unleashed onto the, before he was unleashed onto Italy and, London. And actually, wait, has he ever been in London? No, he's never been in London. Oh, they gotta go to, come on. That's, although this movie does a great job of leaving locations that you'd expect them to go on the table by going to things like this movie, Paris, obviously, that's huge. But then the other two is Osaka and Berlin. And it's like, those aren't the first cities that you'd imagine.
Berlin, I would not have,
Yeah, but like, it was awesome to see all this action and the architecture of Berlin and all the, the nightclub and everything. But then you realize, I'm like, he's never been to London. He's never been to South America. But another great thing in this, he has been to the desert. Like the one sequence that they went to Africa to film for about 3 minutes of the movie, which is basically the first 3 minutes of the movie. It's just great, and it's mostly all on location stuff. There's some things that obviously just logistically you can't shut down. The Ark in Paris to murder 2,500 goons in a traffic circle. That has to be done, in the privacy and safety of a studio. But the fact that where there is CGI in this movie is so unnoticeable, you really don't know where it is. Like, you know what I mean? Like, if you didn't know that practically, no, you can't film that actually on the streets of Paris, it just looks like they filmed it on the streets of Paris. Like, there'd be no way to know. Like, it's just so great. It's just the highest of God, I gotta it's so hard to articulate because it's just so good. It's just every single person in every department is just working at the highest skill level possible in their field. Like, for this movie. And like you said, I think this is easily the best movie of the year. I think it's just a little bit better than Ant-Man for me to make, to take that spot. But no, not really.
I was gonna say, this blows Ant-Man out of the water for me.
Yeah. No, but what's crazy? What did you just say? This blows Ant-Man out of the water for me. This movie had 3 trailers, couple of TV spots, and $100 million budget. It's already made its money back. Like, we didn't talk box office this week. Maybe we might touch back into box office next week when we see how Dungeons and Dragons did. But franchise best opening. Obviously, it has just been, movie after movie after movie going up, up, up with the box office. Most likely, when it's done with the box office run, it'll be the most successful of the franchise. And the fact that this movie looks like that on $100 million budget is just baffling. The fact that then you look at something like Ant-Man, which had double the budget, not a little bit more, double the budget. And then you look at something like Shazam 2: Fury of the Gods, which, didn't have double the budget and a little bit more budget, and it looks infinitely worse. They've shot Shazam 2 in Philadelphia, and there's not a single scene in that movie that looks like they're actually in Philadelphia. Like, you know what I mean? All of it could just, it just looks so inauthentic. In this movie, every single shot is like you are really there, save for maybe the sunrise at the end of the movie. But I had this argument with my friend at work today. He was like, why did they went the whole movie with all these beautiful shots and everything, and then right at the last scene, they had to do this big green screen like background. And I'm like, yeah, but you have to figure too, it's because the exact timing and the exact way that the sunrise happens is a narrative part of this movie. It was always going to have to be an artificial sunrise, like, because you can't just bank on the movie on it being like that. You know what I mean? And it would be so hard to do otherwise. So I can kind of give them the excuse for that, the pass for that, because the rest of the movie does look so good. Donnie Yen is fantastic. Hiroyuki Sanada, like you said, just incredible. If he's not the lead in Ghost of Tsushima with Chad Stahelski directing it, I don't know what Hollywood is doing, because I feel like those two are already making the movie and just not telling anybody. I feel like, the way that they talk about each other on like some of the red carpets and stuff, they clearly love each other. They've worked together before in the past as well. And that was another thing too. It was nice knowing that Sonata had worked with Keanu Reeves before. I think Donnie Yen had worked with him before on some of these other movies that American audiences just didn't gravitate to in the mid 2000s. Like, they were, Keanu was making these movies like 47 Ronin, which partially was partially filmed in Buffalo. It was one of those first big movies, that kind of wave we're in now of a lot of things filming in Buffalo, like Nightmare Alley and everything. It was one of those first ones. But the chemistry, you just felt it with everybody. And Lance Reddick as Sharon is fantastic in this. Somebody who I don't know if we've talked about yet is Clancy Brown, who is playing not an adjudicator but a harbinger, which is another nice added wrinkle.
You go over that.
I know, like, it's just so good. Like, and the way that the only way that Lance Reddick can deliver those names, sir, there is a harbinger here to see. Like, an adjudicator. Like, I just, he's so good in these movies. Rest in peace, man. Jesus, that is like so crazy. It's like, I've seen this movie 3 times. I've seen this movie 3 times, and I've watched all of them yesterday. It's just crazy to me that he's passed away in real life. Like, it's just insane. But he's so good in this. But all right, I guess let us transfer over to spoilers, just so that we can talk a little bit more about what happens in the movie and the movie itself. So jump out if you don't want to be spoiled for John Wick 4. But honestly, I mean, if you haven't seen it yet, probably, I don't know what you're doing. But so full spoilers ahead for John Wick Chapter 4. So you have been warned. John Wick dies at the end of this movie. What the hell? What do you think? I mean, I looked over. I saw you were crying your eyes out. No, but you were. I mean, I think that everybody in our theater was getting emotional. All 3 times that I've seen this weekend, everyone has had the same reactions of like so at the very end when he's on those steps and he's bleeding out and everything, and it cuts. It has the Star Is Born cut to him and Helen, where the music cuts out, and it's just like, oh, like it cut to him and Helen. This is the one I saw yesterday, and the guy behind us just went, oh, damn. like super loud. I was just like, yes, it is resonating with so many people. But yeah, I mean, granted, also you got to keep in mind we didn't see a body. A lot of it's a very action movie, death that I feel like he could have just at any point in the post credits or something just popped out from behind a tree. So
Right.
take that for what you will. I'm not over here saying like, man, it's crazy that we saw him die, because we didn't really see him die. It was just we saw him slump over, and then a lot of time passed. But what do you think? Do you think he is actually dead? Did you like that part of the movie? Do you feel like they should just leave it?
Yeah, I was shocked because I was always under the impression they were doing a fifth one. And I told you I thought maybe it was gonna be like because he says when he gets out of the boat, it's like, oh, I want my
he said, let me drive
tombstone
the
to say
boat.
loving husband. So I thought maybe they were just gonna have it as a placeholder or something there. And then when he wasn't there with the two of them, I was like, oh shit, maybe he's like really dead. It kind of, from what I can gather, it seems like maybe Keanu Reeves and Chad Stahelski want to kind of end it there, and then maybe the studio is kind of like, no, but a fifth one. Like, look how much money this made. So I'll be interested to see what happens. But I liked it either way. We're gonna get Keanu a little bit in Ballerina as John Wick, and then who knows after that? Maybe he's done after the fourth one. He's getting, as you said, he's getting up there in age, and I can't imagine it's the
60.
easiest thing.
Him and Donnie Yen are 60.
60? Is he really 60?
They look like 60? That in this movie.
Wow.
I couldn't even believe it.
I hope they do another one. I hope they do another one.
See, this is my
Imagine
thing.
what the fifth one will be. This is the fourth one.
I know. Let's see here. Oh, are they? I think they are the exact same age. They're both. I almost said John Wick. Keanu Reeves is 58, about to be 59, and Donnie Yen just turned 59. So wow. Yeah, they're both pretty much the exact same age. Oh, you know what? How old is Hiroyuki Sanada? He's also 60. He's 62. So
I think Sanada's a tad old to play the lead in Ghost of Tsushima.
The lead?
But
how old is the lead supposed to
be? He's probably around, I'd have to say, like late 20s, early 30s maybe.
Oh, okay.
Off the top of my head.
Do you think that you could push it a little? Like, do you think that you could just for that?
Or probably is it very, could. Like... I mean, no, it's because it's very much like the beginning, his dad dies, and that kind of extends,
okay.
So it's kind of it's not like it's kind of sort of an avenge type thing, but
you just cast it right there. He's gonna play the dad.
Oh yeah, that could be it.
You just did it right there. There you go. Well, hell, whoever they get to play him, I think it's gonna be fantastic. And also, I just remembered too. I just clicked on that. He's got his own franchise. They're still apparently doing a Mortal Kombat 2. Yeah, so he's and I think the last time, or maybe the only time they reported on that, it was that they were gonna get rid of that main guy, the guy with like the armadillo powers or whatever, like the main character from that 2019 one or 2021 one, and that they were just gonna focus on Sub-Zero and Scorpion, which they should have done the whole time. But so maybe he's all good. But that being said, if they want to do a Mortal Kombat 2, see if Chad's available between projects. Get him in there. Maybe
totally.
That would be he would be a fantastic choice for a Mortal Kombat.
I'd say this. I've seen this a lot, and I do agree. I'd say this felt very video game-esque. This movie.
Yeah, in the most complimentary way possible.
Yes. Yes. Exactly.
I've seen that too.
What did you think about the end? Do you think he was dead, or what's the deal?
So, jeez. Going off of what you said about kind of real quick, what I want it to mean is I think I do want it to just end there for John. But of course, there's the fan in me that enjoys these movies just like everyone else is. I mean, if you're gonna do a fifth one, I'm not gonna not watch it. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not gonna not go see John Wick 5. But I do think that you can keep the character alive in other ways of, with Ballerina being a prequel with, you can do other stories set between. We now have some baked in time. You know, I would say probably like 6-8 months, something like that, between 3 and 4. So you have some time in there that you could also go prior to that. I mean, Keanu still looks, you know, you could just say that it's 10 years ago. It wouldn't really make much of a difference because the guy does not look 60. But in terms of actually watching it in the movie, I was upset. I was like upset, like in a good way. I was super emotional. I was very like, I couldn't believe that they were really going for it. And it's almost one of those things that you just don't really believe it until the credits roll and nothing happened. You know what I mean? Like, it's one of those things that you're just like, oh, okay, well, he's gonna, the camera faded out, but he's gonna wake back up, or he's gonna walk out from behind the tree and be like, well, the headstone looks great, boys, thanks for the help, something like that. But you don't get any of that. I know we're kind of going around this movie in a very backwards way, but talking about the very, very end here, we obviously get King, the Bowery King, and Winston both, and John's new dog, both at his grave as the final scene. Do you think if he... Well, first of all, let me just ask you this straight up. Do you think he actually is dead? Do you think he actually is lifeless in that grave?
Yes.
I actually... And I'm asking you in terms of, like, knowing that there might be a fifth movie.
I think so.
So you think if there is a fifth movie, it'd be some sort of other
some sort of
thing happening?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I think, as much as I would be happy and want it to end, I think that for the story purposes, I think they definitely purposely left it open-ended. So I am going to say I do not think that he is actually dead and in the ground. So then my next question is, do either of them know that? I feel like Winston would know.
Yes,
and I feel like maybe the Bowery King wouldn't, because the last things that John says, other than Helen, is, oh man, the scene so emotional. He's like bleeding, and he just looks at Winston, and he goes, "Winston, will you take me home?" And he goes, "Of course, Jonathan." And I'm just like, oh my god! Like, I was like, oh, it was so emotional. But I don't know. I feel like he knew that even though his obligation to the table was done, nobody's ever gonna stop coming for him. It's the Bruce Wayne at the end of Dark Knight Rises. Faking his death and going to live off in anonymity in Paris. But that's just my take on it. I think probably he's not actually dead, and I think probably he is in hiding somewhere with his dog, and Winston's the only one that knows about it. That's what I think is actually what happened at the end of this movie. But like we said, it is totally open for interpretation, and I am the one interpreting. TJ, like what TJ said, that's what the movie presents you, is he dead. He dead and buried. Like, I'm just thinking like age and
100% things we've heard of the actor director maybe just wanting kind of end it with the fourth one, but
yeah,
the studio again wants to make money, so we'll see. So I just want to know, like, do you have a favorite fight scene or fight kind of moment, and then I guess maybe a favorite character?
Yeah, well, first of all, I just want to say too, Michelle in the chat says, I refuse to believe he's dead. I think I'm in that same camp, but TJ might be right. We might have to wake up and face the reality one of these days. But I will say I agree with you. I think that the fight sequence, actually, you know what? I'm not going to agree with you. I love the nightclub fight sequence. I think it's probably the most brutal that John is in. Well, it is the most brutal that John is in the entire movie. It's where he expels most of his energy. I know you and I looked over at each other when I love that he had to kill Scott Adkins 3 times before he actually died. But I love when the middle time that he killed him, when he just wails on him, and we basically spend a minute of real time watching a man beat another man just to death. But then obviously it wasn't enough. But just the fact that John has that brutality in him, that just in the rain, and that beautiful shot of where it starts on the back of John's head, and then it moves through the waterfall to the front of his head. The whole time he is just wailing on him like these heavy punches, like, and also to talk about great filmmaking, the opening of the movie with the punches onto the beam, of how loud and percussive it was. You remember back to
those
that.
Gunshots are. Whew.
I know, and you remember back to those punches in the beginning of the movie, and you're like, that's how hard he's punching his face. Like like that sets in your mind how powerful this guy's punches are. So I really like the Berlin stuff. I would say my favorite scene of the movie probably is the card game with Scott Adkins and Donnie Yen and Shamir Anderson, by the way, which I don't know if we've said his name yet, Mr. Nobody, played by Shamir Anderson, who I did not know of or anything like that before watching this movie. Obviously, I had seen him in the trailer and everything, but he was fantastic. But that's probably my favorite
8 people
scene.
watching, by the way. What did you think of John Wick? Please let us know in the chat.
Yeah, absolutely. Have you seen John Wick 4 yet? Are you going to? Hopefully you have, because we are talking about it. But that was probably my favorite scene, was that card game. Just Scott Adkins just absolutely killing that role.
Yeah.
Like he's the Baba Yaga. Like he was so funny.
God,
and just
I gotta see this movie again.
See, he was so funny, but he was also just so menacing. Like
Right.
when the way that he was talking, like these movies toe such a beautiful line between like humor and to co-opt a Taika Waititi quote about Star Wars. The John Wick movies are serious, but they don't take themselves seriously. You know what I mean? Like they know exactly what they are, and they know that you're coming for exactly the reason that you want, which is crazy action, great lines, great characters, everything like that. And this movie really flexed that muscle. Like just little things like, you know, when he's like, you know, one of them thinks he can serve his way out, one thinks he can buy his way out, and one thinks he can kill his way out. Like, oh, it's just so good. And then when he's screaming at him and they're running through the nightclub and he's just running for his life, that is so fun. And then obviously how he actually dies with that fall.
Jeez.
Ooh, so brutal. Like literally cracked his head, like actually cracked his skull into itself. Like, ooh. But I would say my favorite fight scene is probably the cars and the roundabout.
Yeah.
I think that's my favorite fight scene.
That one is really cool.
That whole thing. And I don't even I'll stop it right at the road. Like I'll say up to when he gets on the motorcycle is like just that bit of just all the cars and that guy. That's a guy who I want to look up, Mr. Mutton Chops, who apparently is a
just didn't die.
Like... Yeah, apparently he's a Colombian fighter.
Oh, okay.
Which I did not know about, but I want to look up. Oh, whoops! Playing the John. Okay, what's going on here?
Playing the trailer.
I started getting the trailer. Oh, Rina Sawayama, who played Akira. I know we talked about her as well. The moment she opened her mouth, I was just like she had so much charisma and just everything. She was so great, and I am very excited to see more.
Oh, I think you just passed him, Marco.
Zorar. Marco Zorar.
I think that's how you pronounce it.
Yeah, he plays Chidi. He is Oh, that's a very interesting look. He plays Chidi in this movie, who is kind of Bill Skarsgård's #1 kind of enforcer, basically, of the Marquis de Gramont, which is a fantastic name for a villain. But he was great, like you said, just would not die, everything that we built up with him. You know, he is the quintessential action henchman, because there's just all these moments you're like rooting for his death, but then you're happy every time he comes back on screen.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's just all these different things. And then like I said too, I don't think enough can be said about Shamir Anderson as Mr. Nobody. I thought that he was really, really good. Was he kind of a more, you know, ancillary necessity in this movie? Yes. I mean, I could hear that, you know, maybe he wasn't in enormously necessary to tell this story, but I still think it was very good that he was in the story, because I think that he brought a lot of presence and character and intrigue. And I saw one tweet that was just like, my favorite part about Mr. Nobody in John Wick Chapter 4 is that he's the first person in any of these movies that John Wick sees and just goes, I have no idea who you are. Like, you know what I mean? Everybody's like...
Did you think his name maybe was kind of a hint to, like, Nobody? Like, the movie?
I don't know. I don't
same
know.
Studio,
I think it'd be very interesting.
Right? Same people? Same kind of... Isn't it?
No, I don't. I think the other one is Universal. I think Nobody is Universal.
My bad.
But, no, but I mean... those have been, you know, rumored to, could they cross over, stuff like that. Let's see. I don't know. But anyways, I think that he was fantastic. Like I said, I thought that he had some really brutal stuff, especially that scene with his hand. All right, that's not good. Especially that scene with his hand with Bill Skarsgård, where he's forced to make that choice of you know, you really have to kind of, you know, piss or get off the pot here. Like, you either are gonna walk away right now, disgraced, or you need to commit yourself to the table right now. But yeah, we got 7 people watching right now. Let us know, what did you think of John Wick 4? Have you even watched any of the John Wick movies? Are you going to watch the 4th one? Let us know. But yeah, I thought that he was fantastic. Gosh, what else? Like,
I got a favorite moment.
Oh, go for it.
When I think what's the big guy's name again? Big Sideburns guy.
Chidi.
Chidi. When Chidi has Mr. Nobody pinned down with a shotgun, or no, I'm sorry, John Wick does. And Chidi's pointing the shotgun at the dog, and Mr. Nobody's dog, and Mr. Nobody's out for the count, and John has to make a choice. He's, you know, who's he gonna shoot, because nobody's after him, but then the dog might die. Fucking just kill, you know, doesn't kill Chi, but you know, he rescues that dog,
throws him down his 5th flight of stairs.
Yeah.
Yeah, I should say shoots him down.
I do love like that is a constant in all these movies, is some sort of, obviously the first one tragic, you know, poor dog dies.
Yeah.
But the constant, like, we're upping the dogs as well. The third one, obviously, with Halle Berry, had, like, you know, some of that dog, but she's only in it, you know, upon rewatch, she's only in it for 20 minutes. And then this movie had a lot of Mr. Nobody's dog, which I thought was really cool.
Yeah. Nuts. that was great that he had a trained. The two main words that he had were nuts and kill. Just like, that was so fucking funny. But also just who Mr. Nobody represents. We talked about it with Clancy Brown with the Harbinger, but like Mr. Nobody, it was also a new, not just a new character, but a new role in this universe of a tracker. Which is something we've never heard about before, which is not somebody who's out to kill you, but somebody who's out to protect you until the money raises to the point they want, and then they kill you. So it's like, that's so interesting, and just that whole, again, just it's just these, we're describing it as like these novel concepts, but it's just because the writing and Stahelski's directing is just at such a level, it's just so great. What in a lesser movie would be a exposition dump scene of explaining what a tracker is done so eloquently with almost no dialogue from John and very little dialogue from Mr. Nobody, just basically giving you the basics. We see him marking off as the bounty gets higher, and then later John is just like, "Oh, you're a tracker," and then he goes, "How much?" "Not enough." And then he goes, you know, "We're in this now together, John." And that's it. That's the whole scene. And you just imply you understand everything about what this guy's role is in this world. is he's a he's a tracker. He follows the scent and has his great dog and everything like that. And again, like you said, I think he is so great. Like when it comes to the end of the movie, that he basically just gets to kick back and watch the final showdown with the rest of us. But let's talk a little bit more about Donnie Yen, and then bring that into kind of the closeout with the duel, because I think that Donnie Yen, which if anything, is probably the most likely thing to get its own movie, not only because it's obviously Donnie Yen, but it's the post credit scene that both of us missed the first time.
Yes.
The actual post credit tease of this movie is Akira showing up to confront Donnie Yen for, spoiler alert, I know we've been kind of beating around the bush with this, but for the murder of her father, Koji, who obviously was Hiroyuki Sanada, which I thought was an incredible scene with the two of them. Just his honor, would not let him give up the fight, and he paid the price for it and everything like that. But yeah, how did you feel about Donnie Yen in this movie, and kind of his introductory scene with the kind of floppy hair, which I thought was really funny, that he's just like, he's retired. And then everything with him in Osaka and taking on Koji, and then everything up to the end. How did you feel about Donnie Yen in this movie?
Yeah, I thought his character was really interesting, just because he has this kind of motivation to protect his daughter, who we don't see or anything. Don't get really much background on her at all. Just that it seems like she's safe, but also if he doesn't follow his orders, that she could be killed.
Yeah.
So that's very interesting to get his motivation to why he's doing everything, as well as he and John Wick were friends at some point, it seems like. But man, Donnie Yen's so good in this movie. He's so fast with that little cane thing. I just the sunglasses, the whole outfit, like that, it just all works so well. I would love to see a movie just with his character, if that's possible. It made me want to check out like Ip Man, those 4 movies he did. I want to see those now. Sure, he's done some other martial arts movies previously that I don't know about.
Yeah.
But yeah, he was so good in this movie. One just quick question, which maybe it's because I just didn't rewatch Chapter 2, and maybe this was introduced, or maybe it was never introduced. The bulletproof suit. So the Bowery King gives him a new one before, I think, the big kind of car fight thing.
Yeah.
When was that? Was that ever introduced before?
Yeah, it was.
Because I didn't remember
it. Was the first movie.
Oh man, I don't know if it was. Maybe it was, and I just didn't remember.
It was definitely in the second movie, because
Peter,
what's his name? Peter.
Because that would make more sense.
Is like, he goes to Italy, and he gets his armory from Peter Serafinowicz, and then he goes to that weird little I don't know, Eastern European weird tailor that's like, oh, are you having business or pleasure? And he goes tactical, and then he goes, oh, okay, like, so that's definitely in the second one. But I want to say it's also in the first one, but it might not be.
It must be the second, because
it must be the second one.
When I watched the first and third, I don't think that ever came up. So I was like, how's he blocking these bullets?
Yeah,
because he kept going he goes like this throughout the movie, like holding up his suit. Yeah,
that's what everybody on TikTok is the.
Yeah, I was like, when was the suit? I was like, when did the suit become bulletproof? And obviously, the second one, I skipped that one.
This one, like, you just accept the fact that just everybody has them. Like,
right, yeah.
Well, I mean, actually, you know what? No, I'll be fair to the movie. Not everybody has them. John has it, and all of the Marquis men have it. Which makes sense, because obviously the Marquis is like shown as uber rich. Yeah, so I think Donnie Yen was fantastic in this, but going up to the final here with the duel,
Oh yeah,
how'd you kind of feel about the whole duel thing? How'd you feel about how it was settled? And then, because really,
yeah.
honestly, like you said, you kind of just feel like these movies are just gonna keep going and going and going, because it's like,
Hmm.
well, how's he ever gonna get out? And this movie's
Hmm.
like this. He's gonna put a
Yeah,
stop to all this chaos and madness and just say, fight me 1v1, bro.
yeah. I thought
And
it
he
was
can't even do
really
that.
interesting, that whole kind of duel thing. It's, we're doing all these different mixed martial arts, and we're fighting with our fists. We got guns, we got shotguns with fire bullets, but then it all comes down to this 20 steps. I was like, I don't think I said it to you, but in my head I was like, oh, this is just like Hamilton.
Yeah.
um and I thought it took place perfectly. I think I knew he didn't I was like, I don't think he missed, because I was like, he just doesn't really miss, you know so I was like, he probably just didn't shoot. But it didn't occur to me that he would just be like, oh, I gotcha, and then he would just like, shoot Bill Skarsgård in the head. That didn't occur to me for some reason. Which that that moment was awesome. There's just the turn to Winston. He's like, oh, you dumb son of a
You
bitch.
arrogant asshole.
Yeah.
He didn't shoot. Like that, just the
What
the
does
timing
what does
on that.
Keanu say? What's his line there?
Let me just take it from the top. He goes, I want it. I want the coup de grace. And he goes, give me the gun, give me the gun. And see, this is why it's so great, is because the expectations, and Chad Stahelski, he lives and breathes the action genre, so he knows your expectations. And
Right.
your expectations are, he says, I want the coup de grace, give me the gun. And he gives him the gun. And before he gives him the gun, he asks Donnie Yen for the gun. And before he does that, Donnie Yen says,
This fuck
am
you.
I
Oh
good?
no, it's different.
Am
Yeah.
I free? And he goes, yes,
Yeah.
yes, you and your daughter are
Free.
free. And
Yeah.
so action movie logic would tell you, okay, Bill Skarsgård's going to turn around and then Donnie Yen's going to kill him, because
Right, yeah.
he said, well, you said I was free, so I'm free to move. But this movie doesn't do that. It almost pulls a switcheroo on the audience, because you're so like, oh, Donnie Yen's going to kill him. And then Winston just gets this great line where Bill Skarsgård starts walking up to Keanu, and he just starts laughing, and he goes, oh, you arrogant asshole. And Bill Skarsgård looks at him, and he goes, he didn't shoot. And then he just looks back, and John Wick goes, consequences. And just absolutely blows his brains out.
My god.
And I'm just like, oh my god. Like, that was
Uh-huh.
like the movie just crescendoed in that moment. And if we're to be believed, the fact that he was literally dying, like literally bleeding out because after Donnie Yen shoots him, he's out. Like, he's down.
Yeah.
Like, he only gets back up to stand up and then sit back down again. Like, and that, I guess maybe it would kill somebody, because that shot was really, really low, but also, I don't know. I'm getting in the way of my own point.
Yeah.
That duel, absolutely incredible. The fact that they wove this web so intricately, and with all these spinning pieces and everything like that, but the fact that then they were able to tie it all up, not only get John a personal victory, get rid of the marquee, get Winston the hotel back, but also satisfy Donnie Yen's motivation and bring him back to the good side, get him back with his daughter and everything like that. The fact that they were basically able to do that all with one bullet just goes to show you the level that the storytelling is operating at with this movie. I just think it's absolutely fantastic. Another thing I just thought about, if he is truly dead, I feel like it's narratively kind of weird if he actually is dead, and it's just like Donnie Yen's character is the one that killed him.
Mhm.
Like, that would just feel like a really weird, like, I didn't even really think about that. Like, wouldn't that just feel off? It's like, well, how did John Wick end up dying? Oh, his friend that he hatched a plan with killed him. like John got his friend, his daughter and his freedom, and then his friend killed him because of it. Like, that just feels weird. So to me, it just feels like you can't leave it like that. But I mean, like I said, I think it's probably better if you do, but I would love to see a fifth one. But is there anything else that we didn't really touch on? I mean, there's so much to talk about. We're never
There's so
gonna be able
much,
to talk
yeah.
about all of it. But
Yeah.
oh, the Lawrence of
I
Arabia
just-
reference,
Lawrence, yep.
blowing
No.
out the match and then
Yeah.
right to the sunset,
That was
beautiful.
great.
So good. Yeah, I mean,
I can't wait to get this. I can't wait to get this movie on 4K. I just need to see it.
I
I
know.
need to see it again. Like
I know.
ugh,
It's so good.
What a fantastic movie.
Oh, if I could say something,
And this movie should single-handedly make the Oscars do a stunt category, or
It
any
really
of these
should.
movies. Like this movie definitely deserves that type of Oscar, I think.
do you think right now, oh, there you go. Do you think right now that this is the Top Gun Maverick of this year? I know it's hard because Mission is coming right around the corner,
Right.
but
As in,
I-
like, what sense? Like,
just the. Gee, I just feel like this movie is just gonna grab people and clearly has.
mhm.
Like, I'm not saying that this movie is gonna make $1 billion. Like, well,
No,
Maverick made 1.5 billion, but like, I think this movie is gonna do really, really well. I mean, there is
I
a
agree,
lot of
yeah.
movies coming up. We got Dungeons next week, Mario right after that. Then there's a couple of weeks off in April, and then Guardians. I think this movie is gonna stay in the top 5 until Guardians comes out. I don't
Yeah, I
see
think-
this movie leaving the top 5 for quite a long time.
Yeah, I think that's a fair prediction. Like, do I think it'll be, do I think it'll be in the conversation for, I don't think, obviously Top Gun didn't win Best Picture, but do I think
Yeah.
maybe it'd be nominated? No, I don't think so. But
Mhm.
I definitely think it will be when people list out their favorite movies of the year. I think it'll be high on those lists. I'd have to imagine.
Yeah, I agree. All right. Well, guys, that will do it for our John Wick Chapter 4 review here. We got a little spoiler free for you up top, a little spoiler at the end. But there's so much to unpack. I'm sure we're going to be talking on and off, just offhand about this movie for months, years to come. We'll keep our ear to the ground on whatever the news is with the fifth one, when the Ballerina trailer comes out, when the Continental trailer comes out. Maybe we're going to get a Donnie Yen spinoff, or maybe an Akira spinoff. If you want to see that spinoff, that kind of Akira versus Kane redemption arc of her seeking redemption for her father, that kind of thing, would you want that movie? Actually, I'll ask you this as well, TJ. Would you want that movie to be from Akira's perspective or from Kane's perspective? Because as an audience member, I feel like I could enjoy a movie from either of their perspectives because they were such good characters. What would you want to see?
I'd agree with that. Maybe you could somehow do it, like, you could split it
Both of them.
in
Yeah.
one movie.
I think you could do that.
somehow.
Hobbs and Shaw.
Yeah, I think that'd be really cool.
Hobbs and Shaw.
And
Kane
you
and
definitely have the
Akira.
actors to do it. And I think it'd be awesome. You just keep building. As long as somebody that was involved with these movies is involved with those, I think we're safe.
Yes. I agree 100%. I think what the heck? Sorry. I saw something about House of the Dragon, but it wasn't real. I agree 100%. I think I'd be fine with either one of them, but oh. What the heck? There we go. I don't know why it just messed up our Discord for a second. I think that either one of them would be really, really great to do a movie focused on, but I really definitely want to see that story. I'd rather see that. I'd be happy to see that story be the next thing that we explore going forward in this universe than, John, reaching his hand out of the grave, Superman style. Although that being said, sign me up for a movie where this League of Assassins has to use a mother box to reactivate John Wick's corpse. I think that would be really, really great. And then you could just have Aquaman there going, I don't know about this. But that's our talk for John Wick Chapter 4, down and out of the way. But guys, let us know, what did you think of it, everything like that down below. And while you're down there, make sure you go ahead and like, comment, subscribe, and most importantly, share this video with a John Wick fan or an action fan or anybody that you know that might like one of these movies or like any of these movies. But that will do it for our John Wick talk. All right, so winding down here, just the last couple minutes, let's talk Mandalorian season 3, episode 4, I believe, chapter 20, called The Foundling. All about Ragnar Vizsla, which is one of the most gnarly Star Wars names I've ever heard in my entire life. But yeah, so our main story here, we got Ragnar, who we now know as the Mandalorian foundling, who is Paz Vizsla's son that we found out here, gets scooped up by a bunch of birds, and they have to then go scale a rock to get him from their nest. So that was fun.
Yeah.
So obviously, that aside, we now know who rescued Grogu from the Jedi Temple, which is obviously what the best part of this is.
I meant to mention that to you yesterday. I thought that was really cool that they brought him back. I saw it on Twitter a few days prior to me watching the episode.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that was really cool. That was really cool of them to do, and for all that shit he got on my best, I'm glad he still wants to come back and be part of this universe.
Absolutely. And now, have you ever seen Jedi Temple Challenge?
No.
So that is what that character is from. Because Ahmed Best played so Jedi Temple Challenge is basically Legends of the Hidden Temple, but in Star Wars. And Ahmed Best hosted it as this character. It's an in-universe game show. Where he hosted it as Callern Beck. But I said this in my immediate reaction review video. I was like, as soon as the one female Jedi goes, let's go, we have to get him to Callern, I was like, excuse me, what? Because that show had they never talked about where it was in the timeline or anything, so I think people usually just assumed it was sometime between the High Republic and the prequels. But now we know it was like Phantom Menace time, like it was in the prequels. But man, when that door opens and he comes in and he just goes, everything's gonna be all right, kid. Like let's get out of here. And then he just escapes, and it looks so great, and his fighting style. And then we get the live action 501st again for the only the second time. Obviously, they were in live action movies with the prequels and everything, but this is but they were never real. They were always just CGI characters. Now having actual people in the suits, which we got in Kenobi and now also this, and then to have Tamora Morrison voicing them, like just to get this little Order 66 sequence of seeing a Jedi and Naboo soldiers taking on clone troopers, it just felt like a live action episode of the Clone Wars. I mean, it was incredible. Some of the best. It reminded me a lot of that of the Book of Boba Fett discussion of just like, was the episode overall the best thing I've ever seen? Best Star Wars thing I've ever seen? Maybe not. Mm-hmm. But the episode is fantastic. Even the stuff without Grogu, but that stuff with Grogu is some of the best 15 minutes of Star Wars that we've got. I don't even think it was that long. It was probably like 10. But I think it was fantastic. But also, talking about the other stuff too, I think that, we're really starting to see Din and Bo-Katan kind of just not like that there's going to be a romantic connection, but there might be, but just kind of fall into this trust with each other of, they have each other's backs now. Going into this season, we really maybe thought it was maybe going to be kind of an adversary thing. Maybe they were going to be going up against each other. And there could always be some big twist coming. We know she's still not telling him about the mythosaur and everything like that. But what were your kind of thoughts on that aspect of it? Obviously, we have the kind of adventure of the week thing, saving Ragnar Vizsla, which also was adventure of the week, but it also wasn't because, it's still that theme of, we have to save the foundlings. They're the future of this. That with Ragnar and Grogu, and then also, if I will, Bo-Katan kind of being a foundling, getting further into this cult this week of, she loses her shoulder piece, and what does she get? She gets a new, clean, pure Beskar one, and she gets the Mythosaur emblem on it instead of her normal Night Owl emblem. So, we're seeing just that little bit of Bo-Katan change that we're so used to the blue armor on her, just to have that one little bit that's now, always going to remind us that at one point, maybe years down the road, at one point she was with the armorer. They were working together or something. But how do you think all that's going to kind of shake out? How did you feel about kind of that end of the episode before we head out here?
Yeah, I thought it was a great end of the episode. I liked, like you said, Bo-Katan kind of getting a new piece of her armor, and it's kind of like her integrating into this new kind of clan, I guess. Yeah. Which I thought was really cool. Yeah, I thought the whole kind of saving what's the kid's name again?
Ragnar Vizsla.
Saving Ragnar was, it was, kind of what I expected. Did make me sad when that, like, kind of, I don't know what that monster is called, died, because I was like, what about the kids that we just left in the nest? But then obviously we brought them back on the ship. No way they fit on that ship, by the way. Don't know how that was possible.
Oh, 100%, yeah.
So I'll be interested to see, where that goes as well. Training those animals to obey them, and how they fit kind of into the story.
Yeah, there's kind of seems to be a kind of like mount like storyline heading, because Boba has his Rancor now. Din or Bo is presumably going to be riding the Mythosaur, and now we have these three. Like there seems to be, we might have some mounted beast like Mandalorians coming in our future, which is very interesting, because that's a big part of their history from hundreds and hundreds of years ago. Stuff we never even saw in Clone Wars. Like what Queel says in the first season, your ancestors rode the great Mythosaur. Like, I think we might be seeing that at some point. But the last thing I'll ask you before we head out here, what's going on with this whole Mythosaur thing? She's not telling Din. She's telling the armorer, but the armorer doesn't believe her.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's very sketchy behavior. I love you, Bo, but that time you burnt down that village with the people still in it, notwithstanding. But I'm sure we'll get there. Don't worry. But kind of some shady shit. I'm not gonna lie. It's making me question her, but very excited for whatever's gonna happen next. And then real quick here before we go, we got to keep this under 2 hours. We're about to hit 2 hours, which we haven't done in a while, but it was worth it. Bad Batch. I'm caught up. TJ is not. Cannot wait. 2-part finale tonight. Super, super pumped for it. I know TJ, I told him, he was like, I haven't seen the last 2 episodes, and then we're getting 2 more. So he's got 4 episodes to catch up on.
Yeah.
These 4 episodes, man, if the last 2 are as good as people are saying, and if the final 2 of the season are as good as people are saying, and the last 2 that aired are as good as I know they are, man, I'm telling you, this is some Siege of Mandalore level like stuff. It's just the last because you've last watched the Crosshair one, then you get this episode of the Calm Before the Storm, that is just one of the most beautiful episodes of Star Wars that I think I've ever seen, and then the one after that is everything that everyone has ever wanted Bad Batch to be. You get the entire crew, you get Echo, you get do you care if you don't care. No. You get Hauser is back, Gregor's back, Rex is back, like everything, Crosshair, Mount Tantus, Omega, Sid, it all, like, last episode was just like every single thread is just like hitting into each other for this 2-part finale. Also, you know what? I'm not going to say this. I'm just going to say this. One of your personal favorite Star Wars characters, and a character who has been in the show in the past, but not in a very long time, is back.
Nice. Okay.
A big Star Wars character who has been in a couple movies in a couple of different interesting ways. But he is very exciting, and he says something about we'll discuss this more at the summit, and then next week's tonight's first episode is called The Summit. So it sounds like we're going to be having a big Imperial meeting at Mount Tantus that I'm assuming the Bad Batch is going to crash. So I am very, very excited to see how that works. And I'm excited, not only that, but to see how Echo and Hauser and Gregor and Rex and their whole team kind of reteam. Like, I'd be excited. Is it going to be the Bad Batch and all these other clones that Echo has kind of been rallying together? Maybe all of them move across to Mount Tantus. It's going to be very, very interesting. But yeah, so I will have my immediate reviews for both of those up. I'll probably do a longer immediate review for both episodes of The Bad Batch, and then I'll also do an immediate review for the episode of The Mandalorian for tonight. But yeah, that will do it for me. Thank you guys so much for joining us for this kind of huge John Wick packed episode of PFN Live. Lots to talk about, but lots even more for you guys to talk about. So let us know what you thought about everything that we discussed. John Wick, the news. What do you think Marvel should do with this whole Jonathan Majors situation? Yeah, let us know that and more. But the last thing I'll tell you to do is, while you're down there commenting, make sure to also like and subscribe, and most importantly, share this with any film fan, any film entertainment news fan, any video game fan, any John Wick fan, any Star Wars fan that you think might enjoy any of this. But that will do it for me. I've been one of your hosts, Sean Monk.
I've been the other host, TJ Cornwell. Thank you for watching. Please like, comment, subscribe. Let us know what you thought about any of the topics below in the comments, as well as John Wick, of course. And we